What do a wristwatch, an irregular heartbeat, and DJ LeMahieu have to do with each other? Well, it just turns out quite a bit, as you'll find out now here on the Sideline Crowd. Everybody, I'm Skylar Timmons, and DJ LeMahieu is perhaps one of the best second basemen in baseball right now. After coming off 2 MVP caliber seasons with the New York Yankees, after spending most of his career with the Colorado Rockies, DJ LeMahieu finds himself as one of the coveted free agents for this upcoming season. But in order to know about the emergence of DJ LeMahieu, we have to look back at the timeline of how he got to where he is now. So DJ LeMahieu was drafted by the Chicago Cubs in 2009. After being in the minors for a couple years, he finally made his debut in 2011 with the Chicago Cubs. In 37 games that season, he hit .250 with a .262 on-base percentage and a .283 slugging percentage. He struck out 12 times and walked once. It wasn't the best of debuts for DJ LeMahieu. Pretty average, but he did his best. Well, in December of 2011, Dan O'Dowd, the general manager for the Rockies, made a very quiet move, sending third baseman Ian Stewart and pitcher Casey Weathers over to the Cubs for Tyler Colvin and DJ LeMahieu. DJ was more or less the chip-in piece that was kind of added into that deal. So, 2012, the Rockies have had a slew of infielders. You have Troy Tulowitzki at shortstop. You've got the youngster Jonathan Herrera, who's been with the club the past couple seasons. You have Chris Nelson, who's kind of filling in at third base now that Ian Stewart's gone. There's kind of a hole there in the infield. And you have Josh Rutledge as well, who's kind of taking up space there at second base. So there's kind of this menagerie of different players who are in the infield. So DJ starts the season in AAA down in Colorado Springs. He's doing fine there. Eventually, Jonathan Herrera gets injured. I believe it's like a hamstring or something, or a wrist. He gets hurt, and DJ gets called up on May 25th. He does pretty average, does pretty well, but he gets sent back down a month later, near the end of June. Fast forward another month to July 21st, and this is the key part of this entire story about the emergence of DJ LeMahieu. Jonathan Herrera and Chris Nelson both go on the injured list, the disabled list at the time, for 2 very abnormal and just out of the blue injuries. So first, Chris Nelson, who was primarily playing third base and a bit of second, splitting time between those two, the same as Jonathan Herrera. They were kind of moving back and forth. Well, Chris Nelson is dealing with an irregular heartbeat. He said he was working out and then he just started to feel bad, and they got him checked out, irregular heartbeat, put him on the injured list so he can just get figured out. So that opens up a spot for him to get called up. The other one, the really absurd one, is Johnny Herrera. Little Johnny Sparkplug, as Drew Goodman used to call him, goes on the disabled list with a wristwatch infection. Just think about that. The dude's watch gave him an infection. They thought it seemed okay, but the doctor's like, yeah, it's his wristwatch. So I don't know if he was wearing a Rolex or just some sort of diseased Rolex, but it lands him on the disabled list, the 15-day DL. DJ gets called up, along with an outfielder, Andrew Brown, I believe. Both of them get called up, and DJ manages to stick with the team for the rest of the season. He ended the season hitting .297 with a .332 on base and a .410 slugging. He hit 2 home runs, first of his 2 with the Rockies that season. So, pretty odd. Stroke of luck for DJ that these just out of the blue, can't even predict him injuries, allow him to come up. And he makes a name for himself. Does pretty good that season. Well, it's 2013 comes along and Josh Rutledge wins the opening day job. They send DJ down to AAA, and once again, he spends all of April there, but gets called up in May. And he never looked back. Because Josh Rutledge really struggled at second base trying to produce offensively. Because that's what they wanted him to do, and he just couldn't do it. So they call up DJ, who actually has a phenomenal 2013. He hits, once again, a .280 average, .311 on base, and a .361 slugging. The dude was getting on base, making contact, and doing his job. And we were finding that he had phenomenal defense at second base, being this giant guy. So come around 2014, DJ finally wins the opening day spot. And throughout that season, he wins his first Gold Glove at second base. And throughout the year, he hits a 267 average, 315 on base, 348 slugging. So his slash lines are pretty consistent at this point. Has a great 2014. Very serviceable, stays healthy, gets on base, hits the ball, doesn't strike out a whole lot, walks quite a bit, makes good contact. Well, he wins a Gold Glove. 2015, once again, opening day roster, starts at second base, puts in even better numbers in his slash line. Ups it to a 301 average, 358 on base, 388 slugging. First All-Star nod. Next year, 2016, wins the batting title. How, you say? 348 average, 416 slugging, or 495 slugging, and a 419 on base. He is just getting better and better with the more playing time and consistency in his development here at the big league level. 2017, once again, opening day second baseman. A 310 average, 374 on base, 409 slugging. All-Star and a Gold Glove that year. 2018, DJ LeMahieu, a lot of people think that he was kind of falling back in that 2018 year. But I think a lot of people forget, he was injured a lot of that season. He still put in a career high, at the time, a career high 15 homers. A 276 average, not too shabby. A 321 on base, and a 428 slugging. Wins yet another Gold Glove. And then enters free agency. And I know a lot of Rockies fans were pleading that Jeff Bridich and the front office would bring DJ back. Oh, the best second baseman the club's ever had in franchise history, in my personal opinion. The Gold Gloves, the straight-up contact, he would get on base, set up the rest of that offense, the Arenados, the Stories, the Dolls, the Blackmans, all these guys. DJ would get on base. As Billy Beane would say, he gets on base. But, sadly, he leaves, goes to the Yankees. And people were like, why do they get this guy? We finally see the full national emergence of DJ LeMahieu. With the Yankees in 2019, career-high 26 home runs, a bunch of them to the opposite field. Puts up a 327 average, 375 on base, 518 slugging. He comes fourth in the MVP voting, another All-Star, that's his third, wins his first Silver Slugger, and he's on everybody's radar at this point. And then just last season, 2020, hits 10 home runs in the shortened season, wins the batting title with a 364 average. In 60 games, DJ LeMahieu hit 364, with a 421 on base and a 590 slugging. All of those career highs for him. Comes third in the MVP voting and comes with another Silver Slugger. In his career, aside from his short time with the Cubs, DJ LeMahieu has never had a negative WAR. And even with the Cubs, it was a negative .2 WAR. And so he's just been getting better and better with age as he's gone throughout his career. Right now, through his career, he's got a 24.8 WAR. That means if you have DJ LeMahieu on your team throughout his career, he has won you 24, almost 25 more games than not having him in your lineup, which is just insane. He is a phenomenal player. And it was all because Johnny Herrera gets a wristwatch infection and Chris Nelson has an irregular heartbeat. That opened the door for DJ to make it up to the big league club, get reps, and show what he can do. Enough that he made the most of every time he did get called up. He did start the 2012 season down in AAA, got called up for a little bit, didn't do too great in about 19 or so games. Gets sent down, then gets called back up, and then just goes on a tear, and he's never really looked back. And he continues to be phenomenal on defense and phenomenal at the plate. Now, some of you may be wondering, Well, what does this have to do with Johnny Herrera or Chris Nelson? What did they do? What happened to them? Because we know DJ just emerged as really this superstar in baseball. What happened to little Johnny Sparkplug, little Johnny Herrera, and Chris Nelson? Well, Johnny mostly spent his career as a utility player. He was drafted by the Rockies, signed by the Rockies in 2008. Or prior to that, made his first appearance with the club in 2008. They re-signed him to a minor league deal after non-tendering him, and he mostly stuck around in the minors in 2009. Well, he finally gets up in 2010, and that's mostly when he spends his career just as a super utility guy. Moves around on the infield. I believe he played a little bit of outfield. They put him in left field a couple of times, but really didn't do much. He was able to start some rallies, just a good serviceable utility guy. Had some speed, could come in, drop a bunt when he needed to, and that's what he was for the team, a little spark plug. Well, they finally traded him to the Boston Red Sox in 2014 for ex-Rocky Franklin Morales. Got a pitcher. Eventually, he didn't do much with the Red Sox. Signed with the Cubs in 2015, kind of mingled around in there. And then he just kind of dropped off the map. I wasn't able to find much about him. And if there is out there, I hope I can learn more. But through his career, he had about a 263 average from 2010 to 2012. Kind of the staple of his time with the Rockies. So, not doing much. But I always loved Johnny. He was a good little guy. And then Chris Nelson, 2012 was his main season. That's when he played the most games for any team in his career. Played mostly second and third base. And he was really a journeyman. After his time with the Rockies, they kind of let him go, or he got sent over to the Yankees, and then he bounced around with the Yankees, the Angels, the Padres, and then minor league deals with the Phillies, the Brewers, the Nationals, and then finally ending with Colorado in 2016. So from 15 to 16, he was just sort of bouncing around in the minor leagues. Wasn't even really to break through. He then moved on to the Independent League's Sugarland Skeeters in 2017, and then later that season, or after the season, he signed a Royals minor league deal. So the Kansas City Royals was named a bench coach for their AA club in 2018. Then in 2019, I actually saw him here. He was the hitting coach, one of the hitting coaches for the Idaho Falls Chuckers, who were the rookie affiliate of the Kansas City Royals. And he was all set to be the full-time coach in 2020. But a really interesting career in Idaho Falls Chuckers. They won the 2019 Pioneer League Championship. I don't know what he's going to do now. That team's gone independent. The Pioneer League, they're a new partner club. But pretty interesting. Now, these two sort of fizzled out in their playing careers. But because of their just freak accident injuries, it led to the emergence of one of the best second basemen in baseball right now. And could go down as one of the best second basemen in the history of baseball. So, there you have it. The freak accident of a wristwatch infection and an irregular heartbeat led to the emergence of DJ LeMahieu. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Skylar Timmons, and this is the Sideline Crowd.